In this video, I'm going to go over the massive change to Amazon KDP's printing costs, which means you could earn absolutely zero royalties from your books published on Amazon KDP and what to do about it. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me here today. Last week, Amazon sent out an email advising of changes to the costs of publishing books on the Amazon KDP platform. And there are some pretty significant changes happening. It's the kind of changes that could take somebody who might be earning $10,000 per month on Amazon KDP down to $7,000 per month overnight. That's a pretty big chunk of money to lose. These changes are across the board, no matter what kind of books you publish. So whether you publish low content or high content, fiction or non-fiction, everyone is going to be affected. The update is to the printing costs of books, and honestly, it's not really that surprising considering the cost of literally everything has increased over the last couple of years. So it was bound to happen at some point. And of course, there are going to be those people out there saying that this is the end of KDP. It was already too hard to make money on KDP. It is now going to be absolutely impossible with these changes. But we have to remember that one of the factors you have to take into consideration when using a third-party platform for absolutely anything, not just talking about publishing books, but any kind of third-party platform that you use, is that they can change whatever they want whenever they want. I personally don't see it as a bad thing or something that's negative. It's just a part of using somebody else's platform to make money for myself. Let's take a look at the changes, what they are exactly, how royalties are going to be affected, and whether you are at risk of making no money on the books that you have published. First of all, Amazon has said that they are increasing the printing cost to better align with today's cost to print books. So they aren't changing the percentage of royalty you receive, that is staying the same. You're not going to receive a lower royalty. They are changing or increasing how much it costs for us to print a book, which then ultimately affects the amount of royalties that we do receive. These changes are going to take place on the 20th of June, 2023, and it's going to affect the fixed printing cost of all paperback and hardcover books to cover the higher cost of printing materials, suppliers, and labor. Amazon have provided a support page which details all the changes to the costs, so I will link that down in the description box below if you want to go have a look at it yourself. But what we can see is that it will depend on the size of your book and how many pages it has in the interior as to how you'll be affected or as to how much you'll be affected. For example, books that have pages between 24 to 108 have just a fixed print cost. This means that it doesn't matter how many pages between 24 to 108 that your book has, you will pay the same printing cost. We will focus on the US Amazon marketplace because I think that's where most of us focus on selling books. And so in the US marketplace, it currently costs $2.15 to print a book with this page range. And when the prices increase in June, it will go up to $2.30. So that's a fairly bearable increase, I would think. But also, let's take into account that this is for smaller sized books. So by that, I mean books 6" by 9" and smaller. For books that are larger than a 6" by 9", say you publish 8.5 by 11" books, it's a very popular sized book, then the increase is going to be even bigger. The fixed print cost for books larger than 6" by 9" will increase from $2.15 to $2.84, so a much more substantial increase. The next significant change is for books that do have more than 108 pages. Once we get over 108 pages, we don't only pay a fixed printing cost. We also pay a per page printing cost. And so the more pages you have in your book, the higher it's going to cost to print. With these types of books, the ones that are over 108 pages, the current costing has a fixed print cost of 85 cents plus 0.012 cents per page. When the prices increase, this will go up to a fixed printing cost of $1, but the same cents per page. And then that is going to be even higher for those larger sized books above 6 by 9 inches. It is not all increases though. There is going to be some interesting changes with printing color books, which I think is going to be welcomed because I know so many of us would really love to print more books in color, and there is a decrease in printing costs for books in color, but only a very small portion of people are going to benefit this, so don't get too excited about that one. Color books that have less than 40 pages, that are 6 by 9 inch or smaller, will benefit from reduced printing costs. And by that, I mean they are going to save 5 cents in printing costs. I know, it sort of makes me wonder why they even bothered, but anything is better than nothing, right? But if you do print color books with more than 40 pages or bigger than 6 by 9 inch, then you will be seeing an increase like everybody else. So this one will affect those of us who perhaps print children's picture books. There are also some increases throughout on hardcover books as well, but I'm not going to dive too deep into that one. Head over to that support page on Amazon if you want to know more about the printing costs and the changes to other books that you might publish. So what can we do about these changes? Well, not much really. We kind of just have to roll with it. And just remember that every single person who publishes books on Amazon is going to be affected. This isn't just for low content book publishers, this is for every single book being published on Amazon. So ultimately, I think everybody is just going to increase the prices, the sale prices of their books. So if you are concerned that it's going to affect your sales, or perhaps you might even feel guilty that you're increasing your prices and you're worried that your sales are going to be affected because of that, don't worry, because I think customers are just going to see an increase across the board in all books. It's just the nature of business and of e-commerce. The first thing that you are going to want to do is you will want to check whether you are one of the people who are at risk of receiving 0 royalties for any of your books. To do this, Amazon will basically tell you whether you are or not by a message in your KDP account. If you haven't logged into your KDP account recently, go log in and go straight to the dashboard, and you will see some messages concerning these updates. If you have any books that will have a 0 royalty, or if you need to increase the minimum list price after June 20, you will have a message at the top of your dashboard notifying you of this. It seems that I'm fortunate that none of my books are going to end up with a 0 royalty, but that doesn't mean I don't need to do anything. And if you are in the same boat, you're going to want to review all your books and possibly update the pricing if you do want to keep your royalties at the level that they currently are. If you have hundreds or even thousands of books, this sounds fairly problematic for you to have to review so many books. But Amazon have provided a one-time bulk upload tool where you can click just one button and it will automatically update the prices of all of your books so that your royalty stays exactly the same after the printing increases on the 20th of June. If you don't want to do this bulk upload feature, then you can just manually go into each book and go to the pricing detail page, and it will show you what the printing cost is and your royalty currently, what they are, and then it will also give you those costs and what they're going to be after the 20th of June. And you can decide what you want to change the sale price of your books to for each of your books if you do want to increase your prices. Let's take a look at a couple of real world examples with some of my books for an idea of exactly what these changes mean for me in terms of royalties. The first one we'll look at is my paperback children's book that I published. I've made quite a few videos about this book and how I published this children's book without having to hire an illustrator. The printing cost of this book is currently $3.65. I sell it for $11.99 and I make a $3.54 royalty in the US marketplace. On the 20th of June, the printing cost will increase to $4.20, and if I continue selling it at $11.99, then my royalty is going to drop to $2.99. So I'll be losing 55 cents per book sold, which on one hand, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, does it? But if I sell 1,000 books in a month, that's a loss of $550. Let's look at another one. I have a series of coloring books, which are all 8.5 by 11 inch books, and most of them are under 100 pages. This one that we're looking at in particular is 89 pages. Currently, it costs me $2.15 to print, and I sell it for $7.99. $9.99, which means I get a $2.64 royalty. But after the prices increase in June, it will cost $2.84 to print, and if I don't change the prices, my royalty will drop to $1.95, which I think is a pretty significant drop. That means I'm losing more than a quarter of my royalties. One last example I'm going to look at is another coloring book I have, but this one is over 200 pages. It's probably my biggest book. I don't have many books this size, which I have actually just found interesting because I didn't get the notification that I talked about earlier that told me I had any books that would receive a 0 royalty. But looking at this one, I do. So I would go through all of your books individually if you can to make sure you aren't going to have books with a 0 royalty, even if you didn't get that notification like me. So back to this book, it does have a printing cost of $3.31 currently, and I sell it for $9.99, which gives me a royalty of $2.68. After the changes, it says here I need to have a minimum list price of $11.21 to receive a royalty. Let's update it and see what it says. Let's say I increase the sale price by $2. Then the royalty currently would be $3.88, but when the printing costs increase, the royalty would drop to $2.71. So the royalty will be slightly higher than what I currently get selling the book at $9.99, but will increasing the sale price by $2 mean that customers will think it's too expensive and stop buying it? That's just something I'm going to have to wait and see what happens once all the prices change in June, because for this one, I have to increase it whether I want to increase the price or not. Amazon is also going to be updating their royalty calculator soon. I use this calculator quite a bit, so that's going to be really helpful moving forward too when they do update that for us. I would suggest getting onto this sooner rather than later so that you have everything set up the way that you want it prior to these changes on June 20. Remember that if you do make any changes to your books at all, including the pricing, it can take a few days to update on the front end in the Amazon marketplace. And I'm sure with so many people that are going to be updating their books and going in and making changes over the next few weeks, it may even get a bit clogged up and it may take longer than that to get your updates pushed through. So just make sure that you're prepared so you don't lose out on any of your potential royalties in June when the changes happen. And I just want to reiterate, I really wouldn't look at this as a negative thing. I know that people really don't like change, especially when it comes to things like this, where we do have to be messing around with how much we price our books or how much we're willing to charge our customers for things. But we just have to understand that this is one of those things we have to accept about using somebody else's platform and getting access to somebody else's customer base for us to make money on. I also don't mind these kind of changes as well, because I also feel like it sort of weeds out some of those people who aren't serious about this business model, who aren't doing it right, and who are just in there trying to game the system and make a quick buck. When changes like this happen, those sorts of people feel like it becomes too hard to make money, that it's not worth it. And so I feel like some of those people drop off, which only benefits those of us who do want to be here in the long term. Hopefully this video has helped you understand the pricing changes to publishing books on Amazon KDP and has given you the information that you need to update your pricing and to update your books appropriately. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.